Want to thank everybody for taking time out of your day to come on through. So basically, my goal is to deliver as much value as I can. The call, honestly, I think is probably going to take between 60 and 90 minutes. If we wrap up fast, great. You know, if we end up staying on a little bit longer, I do want to have a chance to do like some Q&A. If anybody has prior engagements, it's totally cool. Stay as long as you can. And I am going to be recording this as well too. So you'll have a chance to do a replay. But if you're here live, you will have a chance to get the maximum value. We are going to do Q&A at the end and some active participation. All right. Oh, let me let these folks in. What's up, Ty? What's up, Timbo? Awesome. All right, sweet. Let me get rolling here. Uh-oh. All right, guys, and I'm just going to apologize in advance. I'm not very smooth with the video stuff. I'm not a guru. I spend most of my time either with my family or on the phone nailing down big fat deals. So this is all new to me. So just bear with me. The information is the main value. There's not going to be a whole lot of entertainment value in this, and it's not going to be very smooth. I'm just going to let you know right in advance. But I prepared this presentation to kind of help me organize everything. And I think we're going to give you guys some killer stuff that you can start implementing right away. All right. I think I got everybody out of the waiting room. Perfect. And if everybody looks like you're already all muted, it's cool. And you don't have to share a video if you don't want to. It's going to be pretty much me talking for this first part. All right, here we go. So I want to start by giving you guys kind of an overview on what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to start out with mindset stuff because here's how I feel about mindset. Without the strategies and tactics to implement it, you know, mindset alone is not going to make you successful. And that's what a lot of people try to teach. It's just mindset. But you are going to need the right mindset to be successful just because of all the challenges you're going to have in this business, right? You need to be mentally tough. You need to be mentally strong. I'm going to go on to the acquisitions mission. We're going to go over common mistakes. We'll go on sellers want to be heard, handling objections, building yourself into the ideal avatar, understanding the seller, skills to sharpen, using strong words, permission statements, old school wholesaling versus MLS and Novation. I'm going to show you the outline for my 3-call sequence, and we're also going to listen to some real calls, and I'll kind of break down and do a little play-by-play behind the scenes. Okay. All right, so we're going to start things out with a quote. I'm real big on quotes. An attitude of positive expectation is the mark of a superior personality. And that's Brian Tracy. Real big fan of Brian Tracy. And also, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So for the mindset, everything begins in your mind. Okay, our thoughts control our emotions and our actions. Making the mental commitment of if you do want to be great at acquisitions, you need to realize it's going to be a journey and you're going to make mistakes. And you need to start with the end in mind. You know, there's a reason why successful people spend money and time on personal development and education. And I've had a chance to be around quite a few successful people. And I noticed they all have a common thread. The ones that are happy, at least. They're normally very positive. They normally spend a lot of time working on themselves in different aspects. And they generally have people that they look up to that have mentored them and continue to mentor them. And they're normally pretty careful about who they keep in their circle. Okay. Another part is copying success. So most of the stuff I'm teaching you is not stuff that I made up. I'll just let you know right off the bat. And even if I have made it up, there's probably someone else that did it before me that I just don't know about. So copying success is definitely the shortcut to getting to where you want to go. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just copy stuff that already works. Okay. One thing you also want to do on your mission is you want to build the best version of yourself. So you want to make a commitment to transforming yourself and trying to level up in every area. Okay. You want to also make your goal bigger than just making money. Okay. Making money is great, right? Money gives you comfort, it gives you convenience, and you can have some fun with it, but it's not going to fulfill you. You want to have a greater mission, whether it be your family, whether it be helping other people. You want something bigger than money, because money alone is not going to sustain you on this mission. It is a lot of adversity, and anybody that has been on the phones and been talking to sellers and been doing deals, you realize there's a lot of stuff that goes wrong, and you want to have a noble goal because it is going to be tough. All right. So I want to get into the 4 different levels, and this relates to acquisitions, but this also relates to everything. Okay. So you have the hobbyist. So what the hobbyist is someone that's actively participating in something, but they don't spend a lot of time developing their skills and techniques. Okay. They go through the motions. They kind of do what feels right to them. In acquisitions, a hobbyist will get the easiest deals. So they'll get the laydowns, right? So you'll see, oh, wow, I got a deal, but it's inconsistent. All right. They don't study mindset. They don't study personal development, their confidence, their level of commitment. Let this person in. And their effort go up and down all the time, kind of depending on their mood, depending on what's going on in their life, and depending on how difficult the seller is. Okay. An amateur is kind of the next level up. All right. They have an actual process that they do understand and a system that they follow, but it's kind of surface level. They kind of go through the motions and they don't really understand all the mechanics behind it. All right. They follow a plan, but have trouble gaining deep rapport and trust with the seller. And with more difficult sellers and situations, it can be a little bit over their head. All right. Maybe they're starting personal development, and the results do become more consistent, but a lot of times they'll get into slumps and they don't really know why. But then they finally get sick and tired of it. And I'm sure we've all been there, and you kind of snap out of it and you're like, oh, wow. And then you get back on track. Okay. The next level is the professional. All right. So professional knows what they're doing. They're dialed in. Okay. They have a plan. They follow the plan. They're consistent. They're able to give back to others. And they spend a significant amount of time studying and getting on their craft. They're listening to podcasts. They're doing trainings. They're looking to improve actively. It's like their mindset is, I need to get better. And I would say out of 10 acquisitions people, there might be 1 or 2 that's a professional. If you just did an average of everybody that's doing wholesale. Okay. Now, champion. This is someone that's exceptional. This is someone that has spent hours and hours perfecting their craft, working on themselves, learning from their mistakes. They're all on the phone. They're always 3 steps ahead of the situation. They can see the big picture all the time. They're really not even so much focused on getting the deal, because getting the deal is just kind of a given. It's more about helping the seller and delivering value and giving back and just giving them a great experience. The champion, that's something that, basically once you get, once someone's at that level, it's a special thing. And I've had the opportunity to meet quite a few champions, and it's awesome. When you feel their energy, they give back, they're selfless. They're, most of the time they're pretty, they're confident, but they don't feel like they're better than others. They just really have put in the work and just really have a love for it. And that's what we all should aspire to be the champion, be the Kobe, be the Jordan. It's a rare thing. And when you're in the presence of it, it's like a beautiful thing. I'm gonna let these guys in here. All right, awesome. Okay, so I love this quote. It's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. So the Zig Ziglar quote too is killer. I love this. All right. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. Right? So in this business, there's so many different things to learn. It can be overwhelming, but just realize the information's out there like never before. Like 10 years ago, completely different ball game. And make it your mission to be great at what you do. If you want to make a lot of money and change your life, change your future, change other people's future, just realize you're gonna have to put in a lot of hours and a lot of work. And there may not necessarily be anyone that's gonna help you on it. I mean, honestly, I wish I had more help. I had great help along the way, but it never feels like enough. And, you know, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. And you gotta think of the same thing. And just realize, like, look, there's gonna be a lot of hours put into this and a lot of study, but no one can stop you because all the information's out there. Okay, so still kind of kicking on the mindset stuff. And don't worry, this whole call's not gonna be about mindset, but it is so important. It really is, because having that mental toughness is what's gonna help you employ these tactics and strategies I'm gonna be showing you as well. So a couple things on building your best self. You want to make sure that you have a big why, and the why can't be materialistic or shallow. The why has to be something greater than yourself that may not even necessarily be about you. Okay. Another thing you can do to help build yourself into the right mindset is envision your dream life and your ideal self. So when I say your ideal self, whatever that may be, and that may change, right? But one exercise I like to do in the morning is I like to envision my perfect day. And I just go through, I try to add as much detail as I can and really picture it. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What kind of things am I doing? How am I spending my time? You also want to work on yourself as much as you can physically and health-wise, right? It will help your confidence. You'll have more energy. You'll feel better. And why not? You know, we've got one body, we've got one life on this earth. I don't know about the next life, but you know, if you're rich and unhealthy, you know what I mean? You're not gonna have the same quality life. So that's one thing that in the last year, I mean, I'm the last one to preach because I've pretty much neglected my health most of my life. And you know, I've just in the last year really kind of started making that a priority. So I just want to encourage anybody, like, even if it's just small steps towards your goal, cut out some bad habit and replace it with a better habit. So your mentality also, the skills that you have. So shout out to everybody that took time out of their day to come to this training. You're already, you know, killing it, obviously, and you're way ahead than the majority of people. Your mindset, your thoughts. It's really important to be able to control your thoughts, push out negativity, replace it with positivity, and controlling your emotions. All right. In this business, you don't want your emotions to run you. You want to be very stable and very strong, because if you let your emotions run you, you're going to be either mad or depressed. If you're on the phones all the time, you need to be that rock, because if you're actually talking to motivated sellers, they normally have a lot of problems, and they need someone that is emotionally stable and emotionally strong. And that is one thing that will magnetize them to you versus some other person that cares less than you, that they've already spoken to and haven't done a deal with. You also want to build the best version of yourself financially. All right, not just for comforts and luxury, but to be able to help people. Wouldn't it be nice to help your family? Wouldn't it be nice to help the less fortunate? A lot of you guys are already doing that, and you know, shout out to you definitely on that. But you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to gain resources, because the only way to do it is to provide value to the marketplace. So that means that you're helping people. Oh, let me let these guys in here. Okay. And then another thing, and this is kind of what I've been on a mission to do, is creating the person you admire and wish could have helped you, and then going and being that person and helping other people. All right. I mean, having wins for yourself is great, but when you can help someone else get what they want, that's a beautiful thing. And it feels awesome. And especially when you see it in their eyes and in their heart that they really want more than anything to succeed, and you're able to help them on their journey, it's a beautiful thing. So I really encourage you guys, like, even if you're brand new, there's someone you can help that you know something that will help them. And the more you network and the more you help people, you'll see things always come back, but do it without any expectation, right? Just do it just to do it and let the universe sort it out. Because if you do it with the expectation of getting something back, the universe can feel that, and it tends not to come back the same way. All right, comfort or greatness. So on your mission, there's going to be a lot of struggle, a lot of pain. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Make being uncomfortable your new comfort. Most people seek comfort in the path of least resistance. Think of anyone you admire or consider great. Okay, were they comfortable? Probably not. Did they have adversity? Absolutely. That's why we respect them. They overcome great adversity. Did they beat the odds? Was their path easy or difficult? Did they have naysayers? Right? Anyone great has had tons of naysayers, right? That's kind of the mark of knowing that you're getting somewhere, is when you have naysayers. Did they face major setbacks, devastating losses? What drove them? You will get all you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. So that's Zig Ziglar. Love Zig Ziglar. Strength through adversity. Just realize every challenge too in this business, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as a problem or as an opportunity. So problems are opportunities, always. So the more problems a seller has, that's the more opportunity for you to add value. Okay. And most people don't see the opportunities in front of them, is another quote, because it's disguised as hard work and massive problems. So if your sellers have problems, that's a great thing, because it's an opportunity for you to add value and help them. And yeah, so forever student and teacher. So as you learn, again, just remember to give back. And when you do teach, you learn twice, right? You gain a new understanding by teaching other people, and it's just going to help everybody out. Oh, we lost letting someone in here. All right. And make sure in your journey too, to set small, trackable, and achievable goals, and keep track of it, right? And make sure you're comparing yourself to your past self. You know, look to others for inspiration, but don't compare someone's chapter 20 with your chapter 2. It's easy to get discouraged. Look up to someone with admiration and copy from success. But just remember, the main person you want to keep competing against is your former self. All right, so the ideal avatar. So this is kind of, the avatar is like being in character, right? And the character that I have found works best for me. There's lots of ways to skin a cat, right? But I'm just going to tell you what actually works for me. I'm not going to give you any theory. You can take from it what you want, and whatever doesn't apply, it's totally fine. But the avatar I like is the good-natured, highly competent professional that's here to serve. Okay, and there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Okay. So a couple things. About the good-natured, highly competent professional. I like to speak professionally to them. I do say Mr. and Mrs. Seller rather than their first name in almost all cases. And here's the reason why. They have a lot of problems, and I want to bring out the best in them, show them respect from the beginning, and I don't want things to be too casual because they already feel vulnerable and exposed, right? So think about like how someone treats a doctor versus how someone treats a telemarketer. Okay. People have different versions of how they present themselves. I want them to present themselves when I treat them professionally, it invites them to treat me professionally. And I'm bringing out the best part of them, where I can tell you this, like, I don't ever have, very, very rarely have sellers like cuss at me, talk to me crazy, anything like that. I really try to foster this professional relationship because this is a major event for them, right? They're normally in having problems, and they normally need like someone that's their rock to kind of carry them through this. So I really try to, you know, it's not even staying in character, it's embodying that concept. The good-natured, highly competent professional that's here to serve. All right, and the definition of a goal, the object of a person's ambition, aim, or desired result. All right, so the acquisitions mission. So your mission when you're hunting deals is you want to utilize your time, skills, and resources in the most productive manner to generate profitable contracts and solve complex seller issues. Okay, and I'm just going to read off this here. So time management systems and following best practices are incredibly important with this key position. All right, the cost and effort involved with marketing is astronomical. So having the best acquisitions process and the right mindset is now more important than ever. Right? Keep in mind, in this position, we're always looking for the most urgent and the most important task. We're resourceful, optimistic, problem solvers, and we make things happen. All right? We're confident, competent, empathetic, and great listeners. We have a process that we follow, and we're always planning several steps ahead. All right? We can analyze data on the fly. We make fast and accurate decisions. We know our systems, we know our softwares, we take pride in how fast we move and our efficiency, and we always are actively looking to improve. All right, we know how to deliver the crucial line to seal the deal, and we close with action, and we produce results. All right, if the end goal is a signed contract at the highest profit potential possible, then everything needs to be prioritized accordingly. All right, we need to always be asking, what's the most time-sensitive task right now? What's my most important task? Time management is a huge thing with getting lots of deals. You can be great at sales, but if you're bad at managing your time, you're missing the boat. There's two aspects that are going to make you money. Okay, the most important one is being able to convert. So having the skills, having the mindset, having the tactics to convert a deal when it's in front of you. Okay, the second thing is your efficiency and your volume of activity. So if you're a great closer, but you only talk on the phone 2 hours a week, obviously you're not hitting your full potential. And if it takes you, 20 calls to close a deal, again, not hitting your full potential. And sometimes you have to do that, but I can tell you just from working with a lot of different acquisitions people, there's people that in general, 3 to 5 calls, they're closing the deal. And then there's people that is always 20 plus calls. And it has to do a little with the sellers, but over time, you see the common denominator is the acquisition person. So I'm going to go over a couple of the most common mistakes that I see out there with different people that I've JV'd with, different people I've trained, different people I've worked with. Okay, the most common one, winging it. All right, thinking that you're just a stud or studette and everything you say is gold, and oh, I don't need a script, I don't need a process, I got it going on, I'll just talk to the seller, they're going to fall in love with me, and boom, we're going to have a signed deal and no problem. And another thing with the winging it is a lot of people chase the seller. They try to convince the seller. It does not work. Okay, the only time that'll work is with the deals that anybody can get. You do not want to chase, you want to lead them down the path and then you want to qualify them. I'll go into that in just a little bit. Oh, not qualifying leads properly, okay? So a lot of people spend a lot of time on sellers that it's not a deal. They'll talk to you all day. They're not motivated to sell their house, okay? Or their house is in a bad location that you're not going to be able to dispo it, or if you do dispo, it's going to take you a long time. It's going to be a big hassle, and you're not going to make very much money. Okay, so using your time efficiently, you don't want to find out an hour into a phone call that the seller doesn't even really want to sell, and you've just been talking about football the whole time, or whatever the case. And you don't want to find out that the property is in a horrible area that you're not going to be able to dispo it. You want to prioritize making sure you're talking to the right people. Don't mistake activity with progress. There's a difference. It's good to stay active, but you want to use your time wisely because, you know, obviously you don't want to waste it. So poor time management. Okay. How do you solve this? You want to make sure that you understand your priorities and you have it posted somewhere. Okay, for all your appointments, you want to make sure you're putting it in a calendar that has an alarm. Okay, and trust me, without my calendar, I'm horrible at this type of stuff. All right, I'm not good. I'm easily distracted. I don't remember stuff like that. You know, a lot of you may be like that as well too. A lot of salespeople are more on kind of the creative side. There are some great salesmen that are more analytical and more kind of, you know, type A. But yeah, make sure you're using sticky notes, put an alarm on your phone, use a calendar, and do it right away. So if you set an appointment, take care of that right away and make sure, give yourselves system set up where you automatically win by default. You don't want to hope to remember. Another common mistake, looking for deals, okay? Looking for deals are great. And when you find a deal that's just like a laydown where it's like, oh, asking price is in the money, seller needs to sell now, and I'm the only person they're talking to. Wow, that's fantastic. But you're not going to make a living off of those leads because there's not enough of them. Okay, when you get one, say, thank you, God. You threw me a bone here. This is fantastic. But just realize the main thing is the motivation and the property location. So if it's viable, if it's in an area we can sell it, and the seller wants to sell, that's all I care about. The asking price to me is 1000% irrelevant. And some of my best deals, they originally wanted over retail. And the problem people make is when they think that it's not a deal, they treat them different. And a lot of times the sellers are testing you and acting like they don't want to sell, or acting like they don't care, or acting like they have to get this amount of money. And you will realize they're playing poker with you. Okay. The motivation you'll uncover later. You don't even need that up front. The only thing that I need is to know that they raised their hand and said, hey, I might want to sell, and know that their house is somewhere that if I get it under contract for the right price, I can sell it. That's all I care about. That's what we consider a lead. Okay, and boom, there we go. A seller who owns a property that fits buying criteria and wants to sell in the near future. That's it. All the rest will take care of itself. Okay, another common mistake, lack of professionalism. So being too casual. And people hear all the time, like, yeah, you want to make friends with them. Yes, you do. But you also want them to respect you. And you want to have a sense of authority and a sense of expertise, because they don't want to sell their house to their friend. Otherwise, they would have already done that. The seller already has lots of friends. They want to sell their house, or they want to work with someone that's going to do what they say, someone that's about their business, and someone that crosses their T's and dots their I's, and someone that cares about them. That's what they care about. So from the very beginning, it's very important. You want to establish competence, because if they think you're a bozo, they're going to treat you bad. They will. And you're going to think all your sellers are jerks, but really they just don't respect you, or they don't trust you. They may not like you. They may not believe in you, or they think, you're just some, low-level employee in the company, that they're not going to spill their guts to them. You know what I mean? They're not going to tell you all their motivation and everything to someone that they don't think cares or they don't think can help them. They're just going to give you the stats about the house. They're going to give you a high asking price, and then they're going to be done with you. You're going to go back to negotiate, and they're not even, they're not going to be open to even having that dialogue because you haven't established yourself as a competent professional. So you want to seek to understand the seller, not to be understood. And you want to have a process that you follow. Okay, so another common mistake. This is probably 90% of people are too passive. So let me say that again. 90% of people, when it comes to the key moment, they are too passive. And then you'll have that other 10% that are too confrontational. But here's the thing. The too confrontational person will actually get better results than the passive one. Because for anyone that they can run over, they will generally be able to get those deals. And then the hard deals, they'll butt heads, and then everything will explode. And that's where you see the people that have the take it or leave it prices, everything like that. Like, you'll get some results like that, but you're not going to get the maximum results. And ethically, morally, it's not the best way to go. Like, you don't want to be getting over on people. You want to help people and have them be cool with you making money because of the value you're delivering. So if you have to err one way or another, you want to err on the side of confidence. But almost most people that I hear on the phone, their problem is that they're too passive. Another common mistake is not building tension. Okay, you need healthy tension to get things done. It's just the reality of it. If there's no tension, the only thing you're going to get is laydowns. So I'll go into a little bit how we build tension in a little bit later. But you don't want to chase the seller. You don't want to try to convince the seller. You want to listen to the seller, understand the seller, come from a place of abundance and not from a place of neediness. You're consulting them, you're empathizing, but you need to have some tension at the end, because that's the only way that's going to move the price needle is the tension. But you have to know how to build it in a healthy way, where you're deferring to a third party, you're in the middle trying to put it all together, and you are working with the seller, not an adversarial relationship where you guys are butting heads. You're trying to see what you can do for them, not what you can do to them. All right, so handling objections. All right, so the best way to handle an objection is to overcome it before it ever comes up. And that comes from having a good script and a good method of doing business. So when you handle an objection before it comes up, you have this magic flow that starts to happen where the seller doesn't know what it is about you that they like. They don't know. There's just something that is just flowing, because everything that's coming up in their head, you're addressing either right before it comes up or before they have a chance to tell you about it. And the way to do that is by having a script and having a process. And if you get the same objections over and over again, see what the common thread is. And if need be, add that to your process. It's always best if things go smooth and there's not a lot of friction in the beginning. Okay, you want to save the tension for the end. So handling objections, I got a short thing on that too. So it says the best way to overcome an objection is to address it before it comes up with a dialed in process. The idea is to address the common concerns and objections as you work through the call, having the key issues addressed professionally and concisely as you go. It builds the seller's confidence in you as an individual and also in the company you represent as a whole. Okay, sellers, like all people, they have a wide spectrum of manners and courtesy that they employ at different degrees based on the level of respect they have for the person they're dealing with. Okay, think of how someone that talks to a telemarketer that calls their house when they're eating dinner versus how they talk to a lawyer, right? How they talk to a doctor, how they talk to a pastor, right? You want to bring out that side of them where they're treating you like the doctor, lawyer, pastor. I have some sellers that are calling me by my last name, Mr. Wonders, right? And, not everybody's like that, but, especially like down south, Midwest is a little bit more formal, and people do appreciate that respect and that courtesy where you're not calling someone that could be your mother or your grandmother, Betty, I'm calling you Mrs. Johnson, and people do appreciate that. I know that goes against what a lot of people say. I'm just saying for me, historically, it works good. So you want to make sure, okay, when you're genuine, good-natured, and highly competent, you'll notice the quality of your leads will magically start to get better, and you start getting better deals. Okay, motivated sellers are often in stressful situations. So if you set the gold standard from the start, it can be the difference between having a confrontational, frustrated seller who is arguing price and is short and evasive with questions and then ghost you after you send the offer, or a seller that opens up to you about all the other companies they've been dealing with that they don't trust. They tell you about their personal situation, and they let you know the problems that need to be solved. Okay, so you always want to look for ways to improve. If you have a bad call, contemplate it. Think, where did this go wrong? If you're not recording all your calls, start doing it. For real, both for your successes and for your failures. You want to be analyzing yourself. Otherwise, you're going to make the same mistakes over and over, and you're going to do a good thing one time and never do it again. So you want to really study this and have that mindset of, I always want to be getting better. I want to make one thing better today. I want to make one positive change. I want to eliminate one bad habit, and just do that every day. And as time goes on, you're gonna have massive results. So, all right, let's move it forward. So setting the stage. All right, here's a quote. First impressions matter. Experts say we size up new people in somewhere between 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Okay, so when you're hopping on the phone with the seller, put yourself in their shoes, okay? Picture you have a property you need to sell. You have very little experience in real estate, okay? And you have personal problems. You don't know what to expect on the call. And if they've talked to other people, generally speaking, they probably talked to someone that isn't real great at their job because they haven't sold their house yet, right? And I don't know if you've talked to, if you ever get wholesalers that call your business to try to JV, a lot of them aren't super sharp on the phone, and I'm not blaming them. They may not have had training, they're trying and they're doing it, and I respect that. But, you want to get to the point where when a seller calls you, you're going to be able to help them better than anyone that they've talked to. And you have to have that confidence and not just think it, but believe it and put in the work to get there. Okay. So a couple things here: tone, pace, and energy. Okay. You're on the phone, right? Most of you guys. I don't do anything in person. I did in-person stuff for 10 years. I did for a year in real estate. Everything's over the phone just because it's so much more scalable. I can talk to way more people on the phone all across the country and even across the world if I wanted to. There's no way I'd be able to do that in person. So you have to realize your tone, your pace, your energy, and your word choice. Those are all your tools you have to paint your picture with. That's your brush, your paint, and everything. So you want to get really good at being able to use it and to be able to master that as best you can and keep improving on it. Okay, so tone, the ideal tone is you want to sound alert, positive, and confident. Okay, you want to be able to lead the conversation and put the seller at ease. You don't want to sound like you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to sound hesitant. You don't want to sound timid. Because if you're not even comfortable with yourself and talking to them, how are you going to solve their problem? right? So this is very important from the very beginning. So this is the setting the stage. Study your script, get it down so you're not stumbling, right? We've got one script that, you know, almost everybody just uses one script for all the calls, right? You want to study and get good at it so you can say it confidently, record yourself, listen to yourself, and do it over and over until you have it dialed in where you're like, man, I sound good. Pace, okay? So your pace of speech in the beginning, you want to mirror your seller. Okay, so if you have a seller that talks kind of low and slow, you kind of want to slow down a little bit, tone it down, match their energy and get them comfortable. And once you're in sync, then you can lead them and you slowly turn up and you get them to turn up too. They'll follow you. Once you're in sync, you know, then you can start leading. So you want to move proficiently through the process. You don't want big, long pauses, especially in the beginning. It makes it sound like you don't know what you're doing, and you don't want to be hesitant. Okay, you want to get really good at that first part of your call, because if you screw that up, or if that's not as good as it could be, then it's very hard to come back from it. It's much easier to make a good first impression than it is to try to earn their confidence down the line. Okay, and another thing, energy. Can the seller tell that you are happy and helpful? Okay, you're the voice of the company. You're the only thing they know about the company besides the website, right? Or if they talk to someone else that's in your company, but you are the company as far as they're concerned. Okay, your energy is going to have a huge impact on how the seller perceives the competency of everyone on your team, and whether or not you are the people to help them with their difficult situation. So if you sound bad, they're going to think the company's bad. If you sound great, they're going to think the company's great, right? Your energy comes from your mindset, your internal dialogue. So set yourself up for success with positive affirmations. You want your workspace to be nice and pleasant, organized. You know, you want everything you can control. You want to set up in your favor, because there's going to be a lot of things that are out of your control. So the things that you can control, optimize it. You know, make it good. Like in my office, I got pictures of my family. I've got quotes. I've got, you know, just all sorts of positive stuff just to remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? You want to be prepared and expect that you're going to be facing challenges every day, okay? And then you also want to master your script and your process. So you want to get really good at that. All right. So the ideal avatar, back to this, well-mannered, professional. They love what they do, okay? And they're here to help, and they're living in abundance. So they're not needy, they're not negative. They love their job, they love the people they work with, they love the work they do. And sellers will pick up on that. Because I all the time, they say, man, you really love what you do, Rich, don't you? I'm like, I absolutely do. You know, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. I get to work from home and be around my family. I get to help people, you know, with their properties. And I really pride myself in giving a high level of service. So thank you. I will definitely take and accept that compliment, right? Okay. They're highly competent, the ideal avatar. They're well-spoken. They're empathetic and caring. And they help everyone they come in contact with in some way, right? So you want to take that on, that you leave everything better than how you found it. So even if it's just a small interaction, right? With someone on the phone, maybe the property's listed, right? I'll still find some little win where I can help them and point them in the right direction. Okay. All right. So just realize this too, for the ideal avatar, the reason this is so important to create this in your mind and then embody it is because you're going to be dealing with difficult situations regularly. Okay. If you're not dealing with difficult situations, you're probably not talking to motivated sellers. And you're probably not getting a lot of deals. So someone deals with situations regularly, difficult situations, works through them with grace, poise, and confidence, where nothing even phases them. Oh, you inherited a property? I completely understand. Honestly, it's a very common situation we deal with. Someone's going through divorce. Someone's got bad tenants. Someone has title issues. Someone has a family conflict. The property needs repairs. I mean, it really will break your heart to see like the condition that tenants live in and the condition some of these owner occupants live in. You know what I mean? It's like, it's sad. And they have kids, you know what I mean? Or they're elderly. You need to be strong and you need to be that rock, because that's what the sellers need. They really do. And that's the difference between just doing a deal with someone or making that connection and truly helping them and adding real value. Okay. So sellers want to be heard. Okay. These agreement phrases you can use to kind of let them know you are hearing them and to make that connection with them. So one of my favorite, I hear you. That definitely makes them feel heard. Wow, I hear you. That's certainly understandable. Oh, wow. Wow, that's a tough situation. I can't even imagine. Okay, you make a great point. Okay, when they ask you a tough question or if they give you an objection, rather than to argue with them, you make a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. That's another one. That's a great question. That's a valid concern. Believe it or not, this is actually a situation we deal with on a regular basis. Oh, I see. I mean, I think I would feel the same way if I was in that position. These are also things that give them permission to kind of elaborate on what they're talking about. And it helps them get it out. Like, especially if they've talked to multiple people, a lot of times you'll hear like the pressure releasing as they're telling you these difficult situations, and you guys are bonding. It's because they trust you that you're not out to get them, that you can actually help them with their difficult problem. Okay, so that's a good thing. If the seller's telling you all their problems, that means that they feel like you can help them. Okay, so this is huge. This is huge. The personality types. Okay, this is something that I actually learned when I was working with Sean Terry. And this is something that has been around a long time. There's different versions of this. You may have heard different versions. There's the disc test. I learned it by colors, so that's how I think about it. Okay, so there's 4 main types of personality types. And nobody's all just one thing. We're all kind of a combination of all of them. But there is like most people are dominant in one, and some people are kind of dominant in one with like a strong like subversion of the other one. So red personality type is a driver personality. Okay, this person wants to be in control. They're able to make decisions fast. Most times, they're normally logically driven and also pride driven. Okay, they care about their pride and they care about numbers and they want to win. Okay, they can be aggressive too. These are the people that want to negotiate and haggle with you. These are people that are naming comps when you talk to them. Sometimes they'll use colorful language. You know what I mean? And sometimes they'll cuss, and it's just like it's a power thing, right? Especially if you're being professional and they're cussing, it's kind of like they're coloring outside the lines and showing you they're going to do things their way. Okay, they're generally to the point. They like to negotiate, and sometimes they'll try to bully you if they see a weakness. Okay, but they are able to make on-the-spot decisions. And for all these personality types, there's what we call a functional version. So someone that's like this, but is functional, and then there's the dysfunctional version of it, right? So the functional version of this is going to be someone that's going through naming comps. They're being polite and everything, but they're really pushing the line and pushing their agenda. And then you can imagine the dysfunctional version is going to be someone that's angry, that wants to argue. Oh, we got more people coming in. They want to argue. They want to go to battle with you. They're using like kind of all these crazy tactics against you to try to negotiate. The way to deal with them is with confidence and with facts. Okay, and moving quick. Because if you don't move quick, they will move on, and you'll call them back and they'll let you know that they sold to someone else. And it's probably someone they ran over that's paying too much and not going to be able to get the deal done. So I love red personalities because I'm kind of like a red personality with the sub personality type of a green. So I like data, but I am a driver. I like to be in control. I make quick decisions, all those things, right up my alley. And a lot of salespeople end up being reds. They're either reds with a green or red with a blue, even red with yellow. You'll see some of that, but normally it's either green or blue. Okay, blue is a social person. All right, they love to talk about people, things, past experiences. They like to connect. That's how you build rapport with them, is by connecting with them, empathizing with them. People in their life and relationships are important. They like to have fun. They're impulsive. So they will make a quick decision, but if you don't lock it down right, they will come back on it too. So they're quick to make a decision, and then they're quick to change their mind. Okay, and they run off of emotions. So it's not as much about logic as about how they feel. Oh, I like this guy. Oh, you know what I mean? They want to do business with someone they like and someone that gets them. And they're kind of, they just want to, connect with people, go through their life. This is the person you're talking to that's telling you all these crazy stories, and you guys are laughing and, kikiing it up. But blue personalities are great to deal with. You just have to make sure that you do reel it in and you do get to their problems. And you want to make sure that when you are closing with them, that you're using the emotional stuff more than the logical stuff, and you're locking it down tight so that they don't try to cancel, they don't try to go back, they don't change their mind. Okay, yellow personality, this is social conscience. And this is someone that basically cares about other people is kind of their main thing. They live with their mom and they're helping them out. They donate their time to charity. They tell you about how they go to church 3 times a week. Okay, their main thing is helping other people. And there's the functional version of this, and then there's the dysfunctional. The dysfunctional version is the person talking about how everybody takes advantage of them, right? It's still a yellow. They're like, oh, I help people, but every time I do it, oh, they end up just doing me wrong, right? These people are non-confrontational. So if you say something they don't agree with, they're not going to argue with you. And you may not realize it, especially if you're newer, but they will shut down and then they will ghost you. And they are emotional. Okay, so they're emotion-based, not logic-based. The 2 logic-based people are red and green, and the 2 emotional people are blue and yellow. Okay, and a yellow person can make on-the-spot decisions, but if you try to push them and you push too hard, they will shut down, they will not like you, and they do not like to be pushed. So you have to know when to push and when to back off when you're dealing with a yellow personality. Because if you push too hard, like the way you would with a red, just to get things done, you can push them over the edge and then you break rapport. They don't like you anymore. They don't trust you. Okay. Green is analytical. So these are your accountants. These are your engineers. These are your computer programmers. Okay. They like data. They like logic. They are non-confrontational. They generally will not argue with you. They will just be done with you. If you offend them or if you try sleazy sales tactics, they do not like that because they're logic-based. They want to be won over with the information. They do not like to be pushed. They're calculated. They're reserved. They're not going to tell you what they're thinking, and they don't want to reveal their emotions either. Okay? And they will take action, but you have to be careful not to push them too hard. Okay. So skills to sharpen. You want to get really good at comping properties, especially if you're doing stuff nationwide. Okay. This is my criteria. I don't like buying stuff or doing deals in places less than 20,000 people. Okay. You can get deals done there. Don't get me wrong. And when you're just starting off, that you may start off there, and that's fine. Okay. Because acquisitions is easy, but dispositions is more challenging. But if you're just starting out, you need to try to monetize every lead. And if the company you're working with, if they have a special way of doing it that I'm not aware of, and that's what your boss wants you to do, you want to monetize everything. You don't want to leave any money on the table. But generally speaking, those deals are more work and less money. Okay. And if it's not in a 20K population, you want to make sure that it's at least a 30-minute drive or less. Also, focusing on properties with higher ARVs are much more profitable. Okay, so if you're dealing with $30,000, $40,000 properties, again, if you're starting out, right, those properties are easier to get under contract and easier to market to. But you're not going to get a $100,000 rip off a $30,000 property. So it is good to at least aspire to move up as you're making money, as you're getting experience. But you also want to be able to determine what the property can be sold for. That's the only number. Like, people ask, like, what's your max allowable offer? I'm always trying to build a narrative to get the price down. I just want to know, what can I sell it for? If I'm going to use a novation or if I'm going to list it on the market, I'll back out 5 or 6%. And then whatever I can get below that, below my cost of exit, that's our profit. So you just want to figure out what it will sell for on market. And then find a way to build the narrative to get it as far below that as you can. So you kind of work the deal backwards. What can I sell it for? What's the data saying of what the lowest sales are? And how can I spin a narrative to justify this low asking price? Because just know this, you think you're doing a seller a favor by giving them more money for the property, but your big deals, generally speaking, are going to be the happy people, and your little thin deals are going to take up all your time, and they're going to feel like you ripped them off still. So I just know in my mind, the lower I can get the price, the more certainty I have that I can get the job done. So if you want to give them certainty, get really good at negotiating a price that's low enough that you can get it sold. Okay, so communication, a couple little tips here. So the way to lead the conversation is with questions. So questions basically direct the seller on what they need to talk about next. Second, letting a couple people in here. So you want to lead the conversation with questions, and you want to do tie downs after you give information. So different examples of tie downs would be saying, does that make sense? Does that sound fair? Would you agree? It's basically giving them a chance to agree with you and wrap a nice little bow around what you just said and solidify it in their mind and allow you to move on to the next topic and keep control of the conversation. Is giving them a chance to speak. And if they have any questions or if they don't agree, then rather than you just saying the thing and then moving on, and then in their head, they're like, I don't agree with that. It's giving them a chance to vocalize it so you can uncover the problem that could be hidden without the tie down. So definitely, I'm huge on tie downs. I love using them. And it does kind of foster some cooperation with the sellers too, where you're not just talking at them, you're giving them a chance to respond and give them a chance to object if they don't understand or they don't agree. Okay. So communication, we already kind of talked about mirroring and matching tonality, your speed of speech. As a general rule, you're going to be listening more than you speak, especially in the beginning part of the call. Just know, if you let them speak all the way through first, and you can build that rapport and you build that trust and they believe in you, if you're not talking too much, then when you do talk, it means a lot more and they will listen because you've been a great listener up to that point. You've earned the right to speak and to have their full attention. Okay, communication. You always want to summarize important points that the seller makes and confirm your understanding with them. So if they're telling you about, I'll just make some, they're telling you about their divorce, right? And their kids, right? They go through the whole long story. After they're done, you want to hit them with one of the agreement phrases that lets them know you heard it. And then you repeat back some of the most important points to show that you understand. So, wow, I definitely understand where you're coming from. So if I'm hearing you right, you know, when your mother passed and, you know, left the property to your brother, it sounds like, unfortunately, he didn't really take great care of it. And it's kind of, the condition of it's gone way down. And now you guys are in a tax situation and he doesn't have the money to take care of it. And you're really just trying to do the best you can to liquidate this property and make it easy on everyone in your family. Does that sound right? Oh, yes. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Perfect. So you want to summarize it back because it's making them think about it twice, and it's showing that you're listening and you understand. And if you didn't understand and you get it wrong, that gives them a chance to correct you so you do understand. Okay. You also want to be really good at reading between the lines. So a seller may not always tell you their problem directly, but you can surmise it based off other things that they're saying. So you do want to have your ears perked up, listening for any potential problems that could be solved by you, any potential motivation. Let some people in here. Oh. Any potential motivation. You also want to find out, what are they afraid of? What are they trying to move away from? Okay, that's one, and that's the most important thing. People are more motivated by fear and avoidance than they are by going towards what they want. But you need both. Okay, so the fear and avoidance, and also what are their dreams? What do they want to do? Right? I love that when the seller has like a goal of like, Rich, I'm just selling my rental properties and I want to go down to Florida and just hang out on the beach. I've been working hard my whole life. Oh, wow. Man, you're talking about the beach. Now you got me going. You know what I mean? Like I'll figure out a way to hype that up and foster that and get that in their minds. You know, oh man, I can hear the waves crashing right now. Oh, it'd be so nice just to have a cold bottle of water on kind of like a warm day on the beach in the sand. Oh, I love the beach. You know what I mean? And get them to talk about it more. And then with their fears, recognize what their fears are and take note, and, you know, ask some follow-up questions, but you have to be careful with this, right? You want to do it from a good place and from a genuine place. You don't want to be sleazy or predatory about this. You want to explore how they're feeling about it and getting them to elaborate on it, and do it from a place of better understanding what their problem is so that you can help them avoid it. Not to try to wave the boogeyman in front of them, you know, in like an unethical way. You want to get them to talk about it too, because you'll uncover new problems as well. And the more about their problems you know, the more you can help them. Okay, so again, you want to repeat back and summarize and genuinely empathize with the seller's key concerns, and you want to repeat them back and confirm it. Okay, so this isn't about a tactic to convert more deals, although it will help you do that. You have to come from a good place. You have to come from the place of, look, I really want to help this seller no matter what. And they will feel the difference. They will. We as humans, we're really good at sniffing out people's intentions. So make sure it is coming from a good place and that it is genuine. All right, active listening, again, going back to repeating their dreams and fears. You want them to expound on the emotionally charged things, especially if it's a yellow or a blue personality. You know, green personality and a red personality, you got to be a little bit more careful about this, because if they feel like you're doing salesman-y stuff, it actually has the opposite effect of building rapport. And that's why, again, with them, being genuine is even more important, because they don't really care about connecting with you. a yellow and a blue, they kind of want to just connect with everybody, right? And maybe they'll go along for the ride, but a red and a green is going to be different. If they sniff out that you're fake, or you're trying to take advantage of them, or you don't really care, you're just pretending, it will have the opposite effect, and it will break rapport, and they're going to dislike you very strongly. So you got to make sure you're not going through the motions, you're embodying and becoming. And here's some other things that you can use to kind of like get them to talk more about the fears and hopes. Oh, wow. What was that like? Oh, I can only imagine. Or I can't believe that happened. Oh, that's unbelievable. Wow. What did that make you think? What was that like? So good phrases. Okay, throughout your presentation and throughout talking to them, you want to get good at using strong words. Okay? It sets the pace. It's neuralistic language programming. It's NLP as well. I like strong words and I like certain words. Perfect. Excellent. Fantastic. Great. Certainly. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Things that are strong, that are certain, that show confidence. In sales and negotiations, very often the most certain person is the one that persuades the other one, even if they're not the person that's right. And I was talking with a person I was working with, and lots of sales experience, lots of success, but just kind of breaking into the wholesale business. I was listening to some of her calls, and one thing that that stood out to me was when people would tell her something, rather than saying perfect or excellent or great, she was saying beautiful, lovely. And I could tell, like, I was hearing how the seller's tone was changing, where if it was like a red personality or like a green personality, it was basically they were starting to lose confidence because it was kind of a little bit too cutesy, right? So you don't want to be anything other than whatever's going to serve you best. And using these strong words set up for your certainty and set up for them to trust you. And it's just a good habit to get into, is speaking with certainty. So yeah, perfect, excellent, fantastic, great, absolutely. I 100% agree. All these terms are good ways to respond when the seller says something, especially something they really believe in. It lets them know, like, look, I'm on board. I'm rocking with you here. Another thing is permission statements with the sellers. Okay, so when I'm going through my process, very often I will, especially if I'm talking a lot, I'll ask a permission statement. Hey, would it be okay if I just ask a couple more questions about the property? Is it all right with you if, whatever the case, hey, is it all right with you if I tell you a little bit about this program? Hey, if you don't mind me asking, how much are the tenants paying if we did keep them in there? Hey, just out of curiosity, have you found a new place that you want to move yet? Instead of, how much are the tenants paying? Where are you going to move to? Right? Is that as smooth? This basically cultivates cooperation because you're asking them for permission and they'll almost always tell you yes. Is it okay with you? Hey, would you mind if I asked a follow-up question about? So the permission statements are big, and that'll help you out. Okay, so old school off-market wholesaling versus listing on the MLS and Novations. Okay, the normal process that people have been doing for years, you get the property under contract. Okay, you either already have cash buyers that you've done these things to get, or you need to find cash buyers, right? So people skip trace cash buyers, realtors in the area, text blast them, email blast, cold call, Facebook groups. They'll go to meetups. They'll go out to coffee with people and lunch. There's a lot of legwork to build up a cash buyers list. And basically, once you find a cash buyer, Then you got to negotiate with them, and then you either do an assignment or a double close. You hope the seller doesn't find out how much you're making and what's going on, and you hope that everything doesn't blow up. Okay, here's some of the downsides. Okay, if you're only doing old school off-market wholesaling, the only people you'll sell to are cash buyers. Okay, and cash buyers do not pay top dollar. Okay, and there's some great cash buyers out there. Not to knock them, and there's a lot of properties that only fit for a cash buyer, and sometimes having that relationship still can be better than selling it on market. For certain situations, especially if it's complicated. But the issue with the old school method is it's very labor intense. It's very time consuming. Okay, especially if you're doing multiple markets. If you're doing nationwide, building cash buyers lists in all these different markets, whew, that's a lot of work. And you're the outsider, especially if they know you don't live there. You never know. You might be calling people, they're all buddies, and they say, hey, look, they could be playing you. And also with the seller, if you're doing old school wholesaling, where you're doing the little shuffle of trying to get buyers in there and playing all the shenanigans of your potential partner and whatever the case may be, there's nothing really to set you apart from every other person that they're working with, other than price and how they feel about you. Okay. And, I don't know if anybody's ever had this happen. A cash buyer show up to your seller's house and say, hey, I heard this is for sale. Whew. I've had that happen a couple times when I was doing the old school wholesaling. And luckily the deals didn't blow up because I kind of had to wait to future pace that too. But that definitely can blow up your deal, especially if they're showing what you're trying to sell it for. It's not transparent. You know what I mean? So there is some shenanigans and some creativity where you're not being 100% honest with them, or maybe at least not in spirit. Even if you're telling them something that's technically true, you're not really telling them what's going on the way that you would want to be told. You're not saying, hey, look, I'm not going to be buying this property. I'm selling to third party. You're just like, oh, we're not sure what we're going to do with it. We could take it down, but we might do just a lot of shenanigans. And the cash buyers that you find that are buying tons of property, they're like the most sophisticated people on the market. So they're the hardest to negotiate with. And if you're in a small market doing virtual stuff, there's not a lot of them, and they have leverage. They're a lot of times direct to seller. You know what I mean? And those smaller markets is easy on the acquisition side. So they don't, there's not as much value you can provide to them. Okay. So the new way of doing things, MLS listing and novation. Okay. So the way this works is we get the property under contract. We just have a little bit of additional paperwork. Okay. So we have the purchase agreement, we have the attorney in fact, and then we have the novation and indemnification agreement. Okay. So I'll show you my process on how I go through all that in just a second. I kind of save the best stuff for last. Once we get under contract, we list with a flat fee broker. Okay, we still handle all the calls, all the negotiations. But the difference is your seller knows what's going on. They know you're selling to third party. They know the people that are coming through are potential buyers. Okay, then you negotiate with the buyers and realtors. Once you have a buyer under contract, you file a notice of interest with the county so that you can get your fee. If they're using conventional financing, VA or FHA loans. And then right before closing, you release the notice of interest. The property closes, you get your check. So what are some benefits of this? Okay, you have maximum exposure to potential buyers. The MLS, that's the main stage. And where every new investor and flipper and owner occupant go to look for properties is on the MLS, and that's where all the realtors are too. So you're on prime time. You're not, skip tracing, text blasting, do all this kind of like behind the scenes stuff. It's boom, you get the listing ready and you just let that ship sail. You have full transparency with the seller, so there's no pushback for showings. They know that this has to happen, and they have full cooperation, and they don't care that you're making money. They already know you're doing this to make money. Okay. Another beautiful thing is you can actually out the other people that they're talking to, the other wholesalers. Say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, if you're calling we buy house type people, out of 100 of them, probably 98 of them are doing exactly what I'm describing to you with reselling the contract for a profit. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as long as there's full transparency. But the problem is if you're starting a major transaction with someone that's comfortable being dishonest with you, if they think that you're not going to like what they have to say, it lets you know their character. And if any problems arise throughout the transaction, you already know they're comfortable being dishonest with you. And I've seen lots of situations where they lock up properties at too high of a price. Maybe they're inexperienced, or maybe they plan on renegotiating the whole time. And then they wait till the last minute and back out on the seller. And then the seller is harmed. You know what I mean? And I really don't want to see that happen to you. Hey, I may not be the highest offer, but I am confident we can get the deal done at this price. Okay. So being able to level with them, and they appreciate that, because if they're already talking to other wholesalers, they kind of know something's a little funny, right? Because if they're talking to several, they probably talk to at least one or two bad ones and maybe one or two good ones, right? But they'll see that common thread, and then that'll start to make sense, right? So you can kind of get that one up where, you know, you're giving them the real deal and your honest and ethical version of this. And all they really care about is the result. You know, once they like and trust you and think you can solve their problems, they don't care if you make money. They really don't. So you can also sell to a retail buyer, and you can convert leads and monetize leads that previously you have to throw away. So your cost of exit's 5-6%. You know, you got to pay the buyer realtor, the flat fee brokers like $200 plus like 0.1%. Normally comes to a couple $100. And it just makes it way easier. You're not skip tracing, you're not blasting, you're not doing any of that. It's listed on the MLS. Okay. You also have the opportunity, if you're in the position to, you can add value to the property, and you can, once you have a buyer on the hook, do repairs so that it'll pass inspection. So we have a property right now with the deal I'm doing with Corey Geary. They're putting a new roof on it. We have another one. They're putting a furnace and an AC in there and a stove. Generally, the repairs are less than $10,000, and we don't do remodel stuff. We do stuff for it to pass inspection. You don't want to start renovating people's homes while you're in escrow and you don't have a buyer. It's it's a liability. It's messy. It's not going to be a good situation for you. But once you have a buyer on the hook, if something needs to be done to pass inspection and for the financing, you can do that if you so choose, or you can choose to just take on properties or just sell to cash buyers on those. But trust me, there's cash buyers on the MLS. Don't get that messed up. And the cash buyers on the MLS generally will pay more because they don't have access to wholesalers that they can negotiate down and bully and you know, incentivize, like, oh, we're gonna have this great relationship, give me a deal on this one and I got you on the next one. There's none of that. It's just MLS. Everything's above board. All right, so the 3-call close. Okay, not every deal takes 3 calls. Some only take 2. Some will take 1. Some will take more. Just kind of depends on the motivation, their asking price, and what factors you have to try to move the needle. So in the first call, first thing I do before I even call them, I put the address in Google. Okay, the reason why, if it's listed for sale or if it's pending, I want to know about that right away. Okay, I don't want to be half hour into the call and then I Google and say, oh, it's been listed for 7 days. Wow, what a great deal. No, I want to find out that right away. And if it's in the middle of nowhere, I want to find that out too, so that I can be using my time as efficiently as possible. So you want to see if it's listed and you want to see where it's at. And this is more for people that are doing national, like either social media ads or PPC. I'm a big fan of PPC leads. Those are my favorite. If anyone's not in PPC, I would suggest looking into it. It's the best lead source out there. That maybe TV, but that's kind of a bigger barrier of entry. Social media is great too. We do a lot with social media stuff as well. But you want to, after you've looked up and it's past that first threshold of it's not listed, it's not in the middle of nowhere, you want to call the seller and try to connect. We're gathering all the basic info, and we're also building credibility and building kind of that rapport and that trust and kind of setting the tone. Okay, the info we're looking for is how quick they want to sell, who's living in the property, the basic stats like the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lot size, pool, and basement. Now with the basic stats, I'm a big fan of looking it up on PropStream while I'm calling them. And then I tell them the stats. Okay. It shows them, look, I have access to data. The square footage on PropStream for the tax records is normally less than what they'll tell me. They always have a way to estimate it to be higher than it really is. Okay. So I like to set that expectation of, hey, it says here on tax records, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, that's 907 square feet. Does that sound right? Oh, I thought it was like 1,500 square feet. Oh, okay. Does it have a basement? Oh, yeah. Is it finished? Well, partially. There's a room down in there, but there's no window. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, there's definitely still a value to that, but like the tax records just count permitted square feet for, it has to have an egress, it has to be fully finished, and generally basements aren't counted towards the permitted square feet. So you're kind of setting yourself up as an authority from the very beginning, rather than them just tell you everything. You're letting them know, so it shows you do have access to data too. Kind of just sets the tone nice where you know all that. The condition of the property. So you want to find out age of roof, heating and cooling units. What kind are they? Is it central heat and air? Is it evaporative cooler? Is it a furnace? You want to know the last time the kitchen and bathrooms are remodeled. Okay. When was the last time the flooring was changed? What kind of flooring? Okay. And you also want to find out anything else that could possibly affect the price, anything that might need any maintenance or repair. Okay. As you're going through that process and before and after that, your main focus is not to find out the stuff about the house. That's important, but that's not what's going to get the deal done. You want to be good at uncovering motivation, their hopes and fears, their pain points, and the different moving parts of the deal. And when I say moving parts, the different problems that need to be solved besides the price of the house. Any timeline stuff, anything like that. After we've uncovered the motivation, the hopes and fears, pain points, and moving parts, we need to get their asking price. And then they need a chance to justify how they came to that asking price. Okay. And I always position myself as an information gatherer. This is huge. I am not the decision maker. We have another department that takes care of all that. My job's easy. I just talk to the sellers, gather the information, and see any way that we can help them, whether we do a deal or not. Okay. You want to position yourself as an information gatherer and just a happy-go-lucky, helpful person, not as the decision maker, because then they're going to want to negotiate with you. Then they're going to play hardball with you. You don't want to go down that road. Be the friendly, ideal avatar. Okay. Setting the hook for the callback. So after I get the asking price and the reason, I may go over some comps with them from like kind of a soft pass perspective of, hey, I'm not a decision maker by any means, but just for working from the company for a while, I'll just let you know they do use the Fannie Mae appraisal guidelines on how to determine what we can pay for houses, meaning that they use recent market data with comparable sales in your immediate area to see what houses are selling for. That'll give us an idea on what we could sell it for down the line if we ended up fixing it up, or what other investors are paying for similar properties. Does that make sense? Right? So I might give them some soft passes on some low comps and kind of fudge it a little bit. And then I need to set the hook for a callback if they're already in the money or deliver the low comps. So kind of depending on the first call, sometimes I will deliver low comps if they're open to it. If I'm getting that vibe, and I'll elaborate that on another time. And sometimes I'll just get off the phone and I'll save the low comps for the second call, because maybe we've already built enough tension. I don't want to push them over the edge, right? If there's still room for more tension, or if they're really stuck on their price and they're really going hard, or their price is just like insane, it's just outrageously high, then I'll hit them with the comps, because honestly, I want to see what they say about my comps. So I'm not calling them back for no reason. I need to push the line a little bit because we got a lot of ground to cover to get them to a price that actually is going to work. So yeah, I will deliver comps on the first call most times, but if they're already in the money, or if they're already being pushed kind of hard, I may back off and say that for the second call. Okay, call 2, I kind of summarize everything that we talked about in call 1 and their pain points. I summarize their situation. Sorry, guys. Summarize their situation. I again position myself as an ally, review the low comps, review the market data, ask for price again. And I basically tell them, look, I really want to go to bat for you. I'm going to see what I can do about this. I set it up for the call back and edify the team. Okay, call 3 is I low anchor with a cash offer. And it's a half-hearted cash offer. And you'll see in a second, I'm going to play some calls for you guys. This is big. People wonder how we do the Novation pitch. Okay, I handle every call like it's a cash offer call. The Novation stuff comes at the very end. So I take away the cash offer and I replace it with what I call the concierge service. You can call it anything. The fix, the speedy list. I don't know. I'm sure y'all can think of something better than that. I call it the concierge service. I didn't make that up. I actually got that from someone else. But the concierge service, I like the sound of it. And I replace it with the perfect solution to all their problems where they can get the higher price and there's a third-party sale. I send the agreement with them on the phone. Very important. You always want to do it with them on the phone, unless you absolutely cannot. If there's no other way, or they're a green personality, or or they've ghosted you, that would really be the only time I'd send someone an agreement without them on the phone. But I always want them on the phone so I can walk them through the paperwork and I can make sure that it gets signed. Okay, and then I'll explain the agreements, get the signature, set the expectations, and kind of future pace for what the next steps are. Communication is big. You want them to know what's going on so they don't get nervous. The uncertainty is what really bothers people. It's not even so much of like what's happening, but if they're uncertain that's going to happen. If they know what's going to happen, it doesn't really bother people as much. But if they don't know, it really does bother them. So, okay. So this is a real seller call. This is a deal that we closed about 3 weeks ago. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm going to open up the chat. I just want to make sure you guys can hear this. So I'm going to start playing it and just let me know if you can hear it. Just put in there that you can, just so I make sure there aren't any technical difficulties here. Can you guys hear that? Okay. No, we can't hear. All right. Let me go to my sharing options. 1 second. And if anyone is like a Zoom aficionado, share sound. I think I got it. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
It's actually a multifamily dwelling. It's a duplex on both sides. And both sides are for sale.
You guys hear it?
So it's for sale as one unit.
Okay, perfect. Is the other unit vacant?
It is not, but they will be moving with me.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So it will be delivered vacant at the close of escrow then?
Possibly. We'll have to work out all the details.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Okay. And I mean, we can help you with that. There is some wiggle room on our end. I was just making sure no one planned on staying there for an extended period. No big deal.
The most extended period would be 60 days while we're waiting on closing on another house.
Okay, no problem. Can you tell me a little bit about the property, like bedrooms, bathrooms, stuff like that?
It is on each side. There's the kitchen, living room, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, full basements. There are rooms built in the basements, but they're non-conforming.
Okay.
I do have egress windows, just never got them put in. They will stay with the house. It's got a oversized 2-car attached garage on the front. It has a privacy fenced in backyard. It's got a 3/4 covered patio, and the patio is 24 by 40, so it's pretty good size, with a built-in fire pit. And it has a 16 by 20 outbuilding in the backyard, and one of them's 8 by 8 and one's 8 by 10 utility sheds.
Okay, thank you for that info.
Okay, so I want to ask everybody a question in the chat real quick. Everyone that's tracking. So you heard the seller talking a little bit. If you had to guess what personality type or what two personality types maybe, what personality type do you think he is, just based on what you've heard? I know that's just like, what, a minute and a half? Okay, I see green, blue-green, analytical, social, yellow. I know this isn't like a lot of information. He's basically just telling me stats about the house, but these are all good answers. Awesome. So you'll hear a little bit later in the call. I would say he has a little bit of red in him because he is very direct and logic based, right? And he's selling me on the house. Like you hear how he's going over all the details. He's doing a sales pitch, right? So that's kind of like a red thing. Like, especially like if you ever have like a seller that's like a realtor or something, those generally aren't deals. Sometimes they are. But when they're like really upselling the house, like most of the time that's a sign of a red personality. And this guy, I would say, is kind of like a red blue. But that's, you know, I talked to him like a couple different times though, you know, based on what we saw right here. You know, green would be a good answer because he is giving a lot of details, and also red because he's kind of logic based and he's kind of doing like some selling. Oh no. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
And 40, so it's pretty good size, with a built-in fire pit. And it has a 16 by 20 outbuilding in the backyard, and one of them's 8 by 8 and one's 8 by 10 utility sheds.
Okay, thank you for that info. Do you happen to know the age of the roof?
The roof was put on, I have that paperwork in my safe. I believe it was put on 3 years before I bought it, and I bought it in 2015. When did I buy it? 15 or 13?
Okay.
2013. So I believe the roof it's 11 years old.
Okay. How about the heating? Does it have one heating and cooling unit, or
No,
does it have
it's
two?
got separate on each side. One side is new, one side is a little older. One side was replaced. The water heaters were replaced right when I bought it. Yeah.
No problem. And how's plumbing and electrical? Is there any issues or updates?
Nope. Never. I don't know if it's been updated. I'm guessing it has. It's not, glass insulator or anything.
Okay.
I've never had any problems. All the switches and plugs were changed out, and the covers were changed out on one side. I haven't done the other side yet.
Okay. That's no problem. Is there anything else about the property you think we might want to know about as far as maintenance, repair, just so everything's out in the open?
It has a sump pump. When water gets in there, it pumps it out. I put in a drain tile to drain it off the property. It's got parking in the front for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vehicles.
Okay.
Off-street parking. It does have older windows in it.
Okay.
They were, I'm guessing, here when it was built. The house was built in 1957.
Nice. All right. And did you have an idea, kind of considering everything, like if we paid cash, we could move on your timeline and make everything easy and there's no fees or commissions or anything like that? Was there like a net number that you had in mind you were looking to walk away with?
I was looking at about 160. I would probably do 140.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you for that. Just so you know, I'm just kind of like an information gatherer.
Yeah, yeah.
So I pass this all over to the underwriting team. They'll do a comparative market analysis. We're buying anywhere from 50 to 70 properties a month. So we've got a
Okay.
real like streamlined system. I can normally let you know within 24 hours whether or not we'll be a fit. Um,
Yeah.
we also have a couple creative options. I know you're saying maybe trying to synchronize the sale of this house and your new house. If we could work that out, that there might be some value there too for you guys. So
Okay.
I can put that together and see if we can make it an option. Now, if it looks like we're not an option, I'll definitely still try to point you in the right direction. Have you thought about putting any work into it and trying to list it at all, or are you not trying to go down that road?
I've done work. I put the garage on the front.
Mhm.
I put the patio in. Stuff like the privacy fence, the sheds, all that. I've done all that in here in the last, because I've only owned it for 7 or 8 years.
Oh, okay.
So I have done quite a bit of work to it. We've decided to move to North Carolina, and I thought, well, shit, let's see about getting this place for sale.
Sure.
I haven't listed it yet. You're actually the first person I've talked to about it.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm the fastest in the West and better than the rest. So hopefully I'm doing okay so far as speed and convenience goes.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Now, is there an alternate address for this? Is the 4236 kind of the more standard
Yes,
one?
that is the other half. That is the one, the prominent address.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was having trouble pulling it up, but I think I got it now then.
And if it helps, it's in a quiet location.
Okay, so I just want to expand on this a little bit. So the very first part of the call that you guys didn't hear, you'll notice I'm pretty quiet and I'm pretty passive, right? Throughout the whole call. The reason why was in the beginning, when I first called him, before I hit the record button, like he was like yelling at someone in the background, like one of his family members. And I looked at the Google satellite video and there's like all sorts of crap all in the yard, like multiple vehicles. And basically, I wanted to calm him down. So I was calm and I was non-confrontational and kind of passive. It was like kind of like he would have been ready to fight with me had I been like came at him like a red. I kind of like gave him everything he wanted. He wanted to be in control. He wanted to be the funny one. He wanted to be all that. And I let him be that, you know what I mean? And I was just kind of like the quiet one. So I was kind of like doing the opposite of what he was doing to get him to be cooperative with me. So I'll go back in here.
Okay.
It is 3 blocks from an elementary school. It is wedged between, there's a Casey's a mile, or a gas station a mile south and a mile north. There's a grocery store a mile.
Gas station.
They're building a new high school 3 miles from it, 2 miles from it, 2 miles. There's a YMCA close. There's a local pool close.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm taking a peek in the area here. I saw, yeah, it looks like there was one that just sold about a month ago. It was on 54th Street.
Okay.
Not saying this is what we'd pay, but just some. Oh wait, nope.
Yeah.
Never mind. Scratch that. It's a townhouse, so that wouldn't be a direct comparable. So I'll
That's
hold
what
my
they
tongue on
call
that
them
one.
out here for some reason. I call them a duplex.
Oh really? Because yours is listed as a duplex. Like it
Is
kind
it?
of categorizes it on tax records. But
Okay.
I'm
Well, yeah.
not.
When I filed for my permit for the garage and everything, they told me it was listed as a townhome.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
I always call them duplexes.
for sure. Yeah, no, same. Yeah, when I think of a townhome, I think of like multiple places all connected, not just like one place that's split in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'll pull this up and see. It might just be semantics. Sometimes it'll say one thing for one type of property and say something else for another. So this
Well, I know
one,
there's a certain style out here that they're single family dwellings. Maybe they're talking about those.
okay. Yeah, I pulled up the one for this other comp because the thing that stuck out was it was a very similar size and it was right in the neighborhood and it sold recently for like 140, like on the market. It was a 1957 build.
That's what this one is.
Okay. So likely it should be pretty similar then. Okay.
Yeah.
And just so I know, because I want to make sure I respect your time. Like if if we can make an offer that makes sense and works for you and works for us, would there be anything stopping us from moving forward with paperwork?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing at all.
Okay. And just to make sure too, because I mean, I'm looking at some of these other properties. Like, if their offer, if we can make a fair offer that we can justify and it makes sense. I mean, is there any wiggle room in your price, or is that number you gave, is that kind of a hard take it or leave it?
That's kind of down to the wiggle there. What I gave you.
I appreciate that. Okay.
I might be able. There might be maybe room for maybe another 5,000 wiggle room. Would be about it.
Okay, no worries. And I'm by no means trying to twist your arm or beat you up overpriced or anything. My job's just, if I can find a way to put this together, I only get paid on it if you get paid on it. So our interests are kind of aligned. I just want to see if I don't want to insult you with a low offer. But yeah, if I can get more, I mean, I want to get you every dollar that we can. So no
yes,
problem
I'd
there.
appreciate that.
Well, perfect. Well, and let me get your first name, sir.
Shannon, Shannon.
Okay, perfect. And it's Shannon Jordan, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, and my name's Rich Wonders. I'm going to text that over to you. I'm with Prestige Property Group, and that way this is my direct line. I get text messages on here too. So if you have any questions or need anything, you can call me back. If not, I'll just give you a call tomorrow after I get a response from my team here. Sound good?
That works.
All right. Is there a time of day that's better than another for me to give you a ring back?
Probably about this time.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will put you on my schedule for tomorrow. And yeah, have a great night. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cool. And then I have the second call for that too. So essentially, the way I was acting like that, I wanted him to be calm. I wanted him to be more passive. So I acted calm and passive. Once I got him to like me and trust me, I just kind of went that direction with a red. Like a red, I want to calm him down because what he's ready to do is fight. He's ready to negotiate. He's ready to do that. And had he been more aggressive, I might have had to turn up a little bit. Like if I was going to lose it, that would be my only other option. But I'm going to pull up the second call here. And guys, I am doing both group coaching and one-on-one coaching where we work deals together. I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the very end. We're almost done. I want to be out of here by 11 o'clock. I know it is running long. So if anybody has to like go and handle business, do whatever you got to do, like, dude, I'm so grateful you guys came along for the call. So feel free to leave whenever you have to. It won't be weird or anything like that.
I'll stay longer, Rich.
Let's get it. But yeah, I'm just trying to deliver as much value as I can here. And you can see I got quite a few recorded calls, and this is just one folder. Like, obviously I'm not going to play all these today because we'll be here until sunset. But yeah, if you do end up getting involved with the coaching program and the one-on-one, we do deals together. I'll help you analyze deals. I'll really do anything in my power to get you on your way and get you successful where you don't even need me anymore. I'll teach you everything to get you on your way, and I'll probably learn some from you too. But here is the third call. There was a second call with this that it did not record, but it was only short. It was like 4 minutes. So this is the final call with the Novation pitch. And just please put in the chat, like if you can hear it, let me know.
Prestige Property again. How you doing?
Yes. Pretty good.
You guys hear that? Cool.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I actually just got some good news.
Okay.
I've spoke to my team, and we have a new program that I was hoping I could get the property qualified for. It's called the concierge service. So I actually was able to get the final approval, and I'll just kind of briefly go over like what everything looks like and how it would work out for you. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay. So from doing fix and flips all over the country, we've developed like a really robust network of other investors that we work with.
Uh-huh.
A lot of these investors, they're really good at fixing, flipping properties or being landlords, but they're not very good at sales and marketing when it comes to like actually sourcing the properties. They don't want to put the time and energy into it. It's expensive and it's kind of a hassle if you don't, if that's not the business that you like. So these investors, like when we have properties that are still a good fit for maybe another business model, but don't really work for us, what we do is we're actually able to agree. If the property qualifies, we can agree to a net price with you. We would pay all the closing costs. You wouldn't have to fix anything. If there was anything requested to be fixed by the buyer before close, we would take care of all of that. So essentially, like the end result for you would be the exact same as a cash offer, but I'm just trying to be upfront and honest and say, we would sign the purchase agreement with you, and then our intention would be to then take that contract and resell it to either someone in our network or someone that planned on living there. And we would earn our fee from the buyer.
Okay.
So we're very selective about what properties we pick because, of course, if we can't get the deal done, we've then wasted our time and resources. We've done the seller a disservice.
You're stuck with a property. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all kind of like, it's a lose-lose. So we evaluated everything, and I was authorized to offer the concierge service. We would give you a purchase contract price of $133, and we could get the deal done in like 60 days.
Okay.
And I have everything prepared. I had your email address as sjordan1240@gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay. Are you able to access your email from your phone?
Yes.
Okay. I just shot it over. You'll get an email to say, please DocuSign, and then it'll have the property address on there. And it's sending it through right now. My little wheel's spinning. So you should be getting it momentarily.
DocuSign. Yep, I got it.
Okay, perfect. So when you open up the email, there'll be a little yellow button that says Review Document. Then it'll take you to the DocuSign website. Okay. Have you used DocuSign before?
I don't think so.
Okay, no problem. It's like the most popular like electronic signing platform. It prevents us from having to like send stuff through the mail. So you hit Review Document, and you have to hit OK a couple times. It'll ask like, do you accept the terms of the site, and it'll ask for your location to make sure you're not like in Russia or China or somewhere we wouldn't expect you to be.
Yeah, it says electronic record and signature disclosure. I agree to use electronic records and signatures.
Yes, and that's not actually signing anything. It's just letting you know you're going to electronic and signature platform. And if you do move forward with the signing, it is as valid as if we were sitting at the kitchen table with a pen and piece of paper.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. And then once you get everything up, you'll see, I believe it says as is, purchase and sale. Yep.
I'm reading that right now.
Yes, sir.
And then it just says initial.
Yeah, and I can just kind of go through like some of the finer points real quick if you like.
Okay.
Okay. So Prestige Property Group LLC, that's us. I was showing you as the only owner on record.
Yeah.
The legal description is just the description of what the property is in the county assessor books. It's just another way to identify it other than the street address.
Yep.
Okay. So escrow, we're of course going through a title company. This isn't like an under the table type of deal. We use tier 1 title. They're national. So they basically protect both parties. They make sure you get everything that you're promised. They also ensure us that we get a clean title and, you're the actual owner and everything like that. They're kind of like the judge or the referee that makes sure everybody plays by the rules.
Gotcha.
Okay. So closing, I put for on or before 60 days. Does that line up with your timeline?
Yeah, because we're actually trying to get plane tickets to fly to North Carolina to look at a house this weekend, and it'll be 60 days on that.
Oh, good for you. Okay. So with a deal like this, since we are planning on selling to a third party, there is some wiggle room in the timeline, and typically it is an investor that we're selling to, where that there's more flexibility. So
Yeah.
if both of us are ready to move sooner than that, awesome. Because we don't get paid till you get paid, so we're ready to move forward. But if you need a little extra time, or we need a little extra time to put it together, we'll kind of play that by ear, but we'll both have the understanding of time is of the essence, and we're both moving towards the goal line as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then number 4, condition of the property. So we would be buying it completely as is. So that means there's not
in here. Real quick, I want to jump in here. So when I send the paperwork, if they're ready to sign right then, let them sign and then explain. But if they're not jumping to sign it, what I like to do is I like to slow things down, and I like to go through all the details. That way, in their head, here's what happens. In their head, if the paperwork thing, if they're not ready, I drag out that timeline, basically so that they feel like when they're selling their house, it's got to feel like somewhat of a process. If it's too easy, it seems kind of weird, right? And a lot of the deals where they sign really fast, that's fine. But if you don't go back and explain it, then these are the people like a blue personality. They're real quick to sign, and then they want to cancel, or then they get mad at you, or then, you know what I mean? Something weird happens. So it's a good idea to go through the paperwork. And I take the most time on the most mundane things, because it's just kind of like clocking in that time, kind of like how the car dealership will have you wait. It's like people don't think it's real unless it kind of happens like a little bit slowly, if you will. And it gives them the chance to feel like, oh, wow, he really fully explained the paperwork. Like I'll literally go through the paperwork line by line too, just to kind of move the ball forward. Because what else am I going to do at this point other than go through the paperwork? Say, hey, sign right now. Or do you, even worse, do you want to sign? What do you think? Never that, okay? You always, actions speak louder than words. So when I send the paperwork, and you heard on this one, I told them the price before I send the paperwork. That's something I almost never do. That's kind of like a rare occasion, right? Normally, they find out the price when I send the paperwork and walk them through it, okay? Because you want to be in control of the process. When I'm walking them through the paperwork, I'm still in control. I'm the one that's running the conversation. Because if I stop talking about the paperwork, there's only 3 things that can happen. 1, he says, oh, thanks, I'm going to take a look at this and I'll get back to you. And that's the most likely thing. That's what most people will do if you stop talking about the paperwork and they don't sign. So they'll say, I'll get back to you. And then your chance of them signing, if it was here, it goes down to, but way down low. You do not want that. You want them to sign while you're on the phone, because then you know it'll get done. Because as soon as they get off the phone, their mind is on something else. They're not sitting there really thoughtfully contemplating your offer. They're getting distracted. It's just human nature, right? So I drag out the paperwork part so that I can keep them on the phone long enough to direct them to sign it. And you'll see, I don't ask them to sign it. I tell them how to sign it and show them where to sign it. So you want to close with action. You don't want to close by asking questions. You close by going through it as if, obviously, we're at the paperwork portion now. Let me explain all this. Then you sign right here, initial there. I need your world famous autograph at the bottom. And I just explain the paperwork and just assume they're going to sign. Of course, it's going to sign, right? I have that expectation of, yeah, you're going to sign. This is a great thing for you. If you have that doubt, or if you're not confident, if you don't act surprised if they don't sign, then you're confirming their fears that they shouldn't sign. They're like, man, this guy doesn't even know if I'm going to sign or not. Like, heck no, I'm not going to sign. So that confidence and that leading with action will go a long way. Oh no, did this stop? Hold on a second. This call's not going. I'm going to reload this. One sec, guys. There was a problem with the audio file. Oh no. All right, I'm going to refresh this.
Prestige property.
I want to get on with the next chapter of my life and get
Property where the person fraudulently
grow and pay everything for me.
perfect.
So they're
Where, you know, that there's more flexibility. So
Yeah.
if both of us
One second, guys.
Yeah.
if both of us are ready to move sooner, it is as valid as if we were sitting at the kitchen table with a pen and piece of paper.
okay.
Okay, perfect. And then once you get everything up, you'll see, I believe it says as is purchase and sale. Yep.
I'm reading that right now.
Yes, sir.
And then it just says initial.
Yeah, and I can just kind of go through like some of the finer points real quick if you like.
Okay.
Okay, so Prestige Property Group LLC, that's us. I was showing you as the only owner on record.
Yes.
The legal description is just the description of what the property is in the county assessor books. It's just another way to identify it other than the street address.
Yep.
Okay. So escrow, we're of course going through a title company. This isn't like an under the table type of deal. We use tier 1 title. They're national. So they basically protect both parties. They make sure you get everything that you're promised. They also ensure us that we get a clean title and, you know, you're the actual owner and everything like that. They're kind of like the judge or the referee that make sure everybody plays by the rules.
Gotcha.
Okay. So closing, I put for on or before 60 days. Does that line up with your timeline?
Yeah, because we're actually trying to get plane tickets to fly to North Carolina to look at a house this weekend, and it'll be 60 days on that.
Oh, good for you. Okay. So with a deal like this, since we are planning on selling to a third party, you know, there is some wiggle room in the timeline, and typically it is an investor that we're selling to where, you know, that there's more flexibility. So if both of us are ready to move sooner than that, awesome. Because like we don't get paid till you get paid. So we're ready to move forward. But if you need a little extra time or we need a little extra time to put it together, we'll kind of play that by ear, but we'll both have the understanding of time is of the essence and we're both moving towards the goal line as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then number 4, condition of the property. So we would be buying it completely as is. So that means there's not going to be any requests for repairs. You're not going to have to spend $1 on anything. Any sort of fixing that maybe need to be done before it would qualify for financing or to sell, we would be the ones that would take care of that. Okay. Closing cost. So the buyer is paying all the closing costs, and that just to let you know what closing costs is. So that'd be anything to do with the title company, title insurance search, any lien search, inspections, surveys, or any recording fees from the city or the county. Now, what you would be responsible for would be if there's any loan on it, any mortgage, you know, the bank gets paid before you get any money. And if there's any liens or debts or encumbrances. So
property taxes are up to date. The insurance is up to date. The mortgage is up to, I mean, everything's, they take it out of my account every month and put it in escrow and pay everything for me.
Perfect.
So there's the only thing against the house itself is the mortgage.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so you'll probably receive like a small refund back from your escrow taxes because you're only responsible for taxes up until the
Up
date
till
of
the date, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, it'll be prorated. Okay, inspections, maintenance, and access. So since we are selling it to a third party, like we are going to need to access the property potentially a handful of times.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be courteous and respectful for you and your family. We're not just going to, send a
Show
council
up.
of people down there. Oh yeah, we will never show up unannounced. That I can
Okay.
guarantee you. So yeah, we'll always give you proper notice. You have the first right of refusal. Please do work with us, because if we're sending someone over there, it's because they are
Absolutely.
qualified, serious. Okay, cool. So
And,
yeah,
and I can
we'll-
also tell you it has already been drilled all the way around the property for termites.
Oh, excellent.
We had all that done, just to let you know. I mean,
Okay.
for your information.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's good to know. All right, I'm just making note of that here.
Yep, that part is done. And like I said, there is 3. I don't know if you want me to leave them or what, but there is 3 egress windows that were
Sure.
purchased, never installed.
Okay.
I was always too afraid to cut through my foundation.
Understandable.
I know I can cut through it, but sealing it back up had me worried, so I never did it.
Oh yeah, man. I change light bulbs and that's about it, man. I always mess things up when I try to fix it. My wife gets mad. Okay. So yeah, if you did want to leave those, that'd be fine. Because you're probably not gonna be able to use them, right? In your new place?
No, I just end up selling them. So I mean, I'll just leave them behind, and they'll be in the basement.
Okay, perfect.
And the brand new still in the box.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So title evidence and insurance. That's what the title company gives us. It's basically a guarantee that they didn't mess up the paperwork. And if they do make a mistake on the paperwork, their insurance has to pay it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. And we actually had a property where the person fraudulently represented themselves as the owner, and the whole deal went through, and
Audio messed up. All right, we're gonna give it one more try here. I am gonna be this is the last call here. And I'm gonna try to skip through to a little bit of the meat and potatoes, because I want everyone to be able to get back to business here, myself included.
Prestige property.
Email me your direct number or not email me, but actually text me your direct number. It keeps going back to the there it did. It must have took it.
Pictures of the outside from the street.
Okay, so I'm going to jump through to the setting expectations. So I'm basically just going through the contract some more. And now I'm going to future pace them.
I get text messages and stuff on here too, so cool. Awesome. And then so you saw another one in there. That final one was just another thing having to do with the MLS and Novation.
Hello.
It just requires extra paperwork if we sell to someone that ends up buying it with a loan. So we just get all that stuff taken care of up front, so we don't have to bug you later.
Good. I hit the finish button and it's spinning.
Excellent, my friend. Well, congratulations. I'm happy to work with you. I'm glad we were able to put this together. So I look forward to
thank you very much.
getting you to the finish line. I just want to real quick to just go over a couple things on these next steps of the process here, please.
When we're done, if you could email me your direct number or not email me, but actually text me your direct number.
Oh, yes,
so
sir.
I can send you the picture of the paper with the loan amount or the loan number and all that on it. Because I'm not very good at the whole sending emails thing.
Oh, no problem. I prefer text anyways. My emails get buried. I like check them once a day. So yeah, that's perfectly okay. Yeah, I just texted over my name, and I'll put our company name too. This number I'm calling on, this rings to my cell phone and my computer. So I get text messages and stuff on here too. So okay, just shot it over. All right. So a couple things. One thing that will help us get started is we are going to need some good pictures of the property, please. I know it's
Yep.
probably already like too late for that today, but
yeah, it's I'll have to get them.
yeah, that's no worries.
Now the
also-
pictures may include a bunch of cars and stuff in them. That's okay, right? Because
Absolutely. Yep.
well, I say we've got like 8 or 9 cars here, and
Oh yeah.
side by side, we've got a collection of side by side, you know, the UTVs and
Oh, cool.
campers and stuff like that all here at the property. So you're going to see pictures of all kinds of stuff.
You got all the big boy toys.
Yeah, we're kind of big kids at heart.
I love it, man. Well, that's perfect. Yeah. So like the pictures, I'll send over a text kind of giving just like a brief outline of what we're looking for. Basically, we
Okay.
want some pictures of the outside from the street,
Yep.
kind of the whole view of the
Yep.
property. We want to see each room in the house, a couple different angles. It's best to stand in
Yep.
the corner of the room, hold the camera at like belt buckle level, and take a picture of the whole room. If you can open up the blinds and stuff to let in as much natural light as possible, just so we can see everything.
Yep.
And of course, if things are, I understand. Look, I got 4 kids. Like my house is a wreck right now.
Oh yeah, so's ours.
Like within reason, don't kill yourself. But if you could, get things as neat as possible. We know you live there and everything. That's no big deal.
Yeah,
But the better the pictures look, it does help the process. Like sometimes people will send it and they'll take a picture of like a big thing of trash on the floor. And it's like, come on, guys.
Well,
like,
no, I won't be doing that. With the floor plan set up.
Yeah, it was. I think it was old or expired.
So you're right. There's a doorway. There's a kitchen, or you go straight ahead. There's a doorway into the living room. Well, if you go through the kitchen, there's another doorway going into the living room. So I could take a picture from each end, shooting across from the living room.
Not letting me connect.
From each end of the living room, shooting back. I can do the same thing for the kitchen and the bedroom. The basements are a mess because we've got all kinds of shit stored. But I'll do the best I can.
Okay, perfect. Yep, that's excellent. Yeah, and I'll shoot over that text once we get off the phone, just with kind of outline of that. So pictures, that'll be like the first checkpoint. Then once we have the pictures, we can start our process with getting our marketing out to our partners. I'll be working with you directly from this point on. Later on in the process, my colleague Eve may be reaching out. She does deal with the title company stuff. And she'll sometimes help out with when it's time to schedule people to come through. She'll handle that. But myself, Eve, and the title company should be the only ones that you need to communicate with. And like I'm like pretty much your go-to guy. So anything you need, call or text me. I just wanted to say communication in this process is super, super important. And just know, like you will never have multiple days where you're reaching out and don't hear from me. I can't promise I can always pick up every time you call, but I'll always get with
that's
you.
understandable.
Like as soon as I finish up my phone call, you'll be my next phone call. So I'll always get back to you within a reasonable amount of time. And we just ask, like, please don't like disappear for multiple days where we're wondering if you went AWOL or anything. We'll just stay in touch so we can stick on our timeline here. But no, you've been great. So I don't think we'll have any.
Okay, and in the chat, I threw up that address. Just so you guys know, I'm not showing you guys foo-foo deals. This is not something that we weren't able to sell. We got it under contract for 133, and we sold for 159. And we ended up selling to a cash buyer that paid cash. We assigned it, but we sold it on the MLS. And I was trying to put my iPad on here, but it's coming up backwards. This one sold pretty quick too. I think we actually sold it to one of the first people we showed it to. I think we did maybe 2 showings. I'm looking at the listing history, but it was listed for sale on 9/9. You guys can check this out on Zillow for 194. So we're swinging for the fences, leave a little room in there. A week or a little less than a week later, dropped it to 189. And then that same day we dropped it to 189, we got a pending sale. And then it ended up closing at 159. But the property, I mean, it did need it did need a lot of work. It was original. It was like a side-by-side duplex. And this guy was living there with his family, his extended family on one side and him and his family on another. They had 9 cars in the yard, and they had like dogs and cats and probably some goats and stuff too. But it was like a unique situation. But yeah, we made a nice little rip off that. And you see, like on the call, like, I mean, there's not really anything crazy that happened. I listened to him and I just kind of just let him roll with it. So how do you keep realtor from just showing to the buyer's house with the listing? Can you clarify that, John? I'm not sure I understand the question. And nice, Zach. I see Lincoln, Nebraska. That's a good market. How do you keep the realtor from just showing to the buyer's house? Oh, got you. Like, so you're saying what happens if you list it on the market and realtors just start popping up, right? There's a couple things. So number one, you do want to put in your listing by appointment only, do not disturb occupant. So that's number one. Number two, I future pace the seller, and my seller knows that we're going to list it on the MLS, right? So I'll tell them, hey, look, sometimes what will happen is if we list on the MLS, sometimes there are realtors and buyers that even though we put do not disturb tenant or do not disturb occupant, they'll just show up. I said, look, I will never, ever send someone to your house unannounced. So if that ever happens, and I just like to say this, it's a rare occasion, but just in case it ever does happen, just first off, no, I did not send them. And second off, you want to get their information and do not let them in the house because I want to know who they are because I don't want to do business with them. I said, they need to play by our rules or we're not going to play with them. So yeah, I'll let them know. Hey, look, it happens on a rare occurrence. If it ever does happen, do not let them in the house and let me know about it immediately. And I want to figure out who they are because I need to have a conversation with them. I said, but we don't do business with people like that. You know, they have to be polite and respectful for us to do a deal with them because we're going to sell the house with or without them. Okay. What's a good spread? Novation, you pay the closing costs. So your cost of exit is going to be about 5 or 6%. A good spread, I mean, it's got to have 6 numbers in it for me to really get excited. And that's not because I'm a rich man. Like I most of the deals I've done working for another company. So obviously I've got team members involved that are helping on different aspects. I'm just doing the acquisition end. I don't have the overhead and expenses. But it just kind of depends on the market. You don't want to get greedy on your deals. You want them to move quick, but you want to get in the habit of getting them as deep as you can because that's going to make your whole process way easier than trying to get thin deals and then going through hell to dispo them. These are good questions. I'm going to go through and hit as many as I can here. Okay. So on a novation, we pay the seller's closing costs. Now, if it's a true novation where they're buying it with a loan, the buyer still pays the buyer's closing costs, and we just pay the seller's closing costs. But some of these deals will list on the MLS, and someone will still pay cash, and then we can just assign it. You know what I mean? It's less paperwork. It's easy. I just get the novation up front so that we have that option. Just another tool. Is the out clause the same as an original wholesale deal? Yes, it is. Yeah, so we do have the long inspection period. I always do $100 earnest money. The way I explain that, because a lot of times they will ask, they will say, well, what happens, Rich, if you guys can't sell it? Say, hey, you bring up an excellent point. That's a very intelligent question. And actually, a lot of people want to know that. So we do all our due diligence on the front end. On this deal, this is why only a small percentage of these properties will qualify for this because our interests are 100% aligned. So we only get paid if you get paid. And as soon as we move forward with paperwork, we're immediately deploying resources, money. We're marketing the property. We have several team members that are all working on this. we are not in the business of locking up properties under contract. It does us no good if we cannot provide the result. So we have to be confident that we can get the deal done. And that's why we go through the whole research department and have all the checks and balances. And this is why I was so excited when I could get you approved, because basically once we move forward, you can just sit back and collect the check. Does that sound good, Mr. Seller? So let them know, basically, look, we're vetting these properties to make sure the numbers work. And the lower the offer you gave them is, the more that's going to make sense to them. If you give them a lower offer, they actually have more confidence in you. Like, oh man, yeah, I'm selling to you for super cheap. I know you can make it work, right? But yeah.